Hello everyone, thank you for joining this edition of Paris Grays. In this particular occasion I have this Gucci bag that is probably early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. It is a very different type of leather that Gucci has used on this particular model. Very possibly vaqueta of sorts, and it has been texturized to appear sort of with very tiny little wrinkles. I don't know that is the actual characteristic of this leather, or it has been treated that way, but it's very not as refined as most of what Gucci might have used in the past or different time periods. So this bag is an open sort of satchel, sort of tote. It has the same exact features on both sides. With the buckle here, the buckle is engraved with the Gucci name. Kind of a nice bag to just throw your items in there. It's very ample with a large opening. And on the sides it has this feature right here, kind of a neat little accent. There you go. And the bottom is all in the same leather. Now, cosmetically it is in okay shape, It doesn't come with serious stains, it doesn't come with tears or anything like that. The canvas here is kind of wrinkling. It makes me think that perhaps it has somewhat come apart from a backing and kind of reattached itself. Kind of a sticky situation, perhaps. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know that I can sort that out. So that might be one of the issues that I will tackle in this project. The other thing might be to kind of treat the leather a little bit more. There are some stains here and there. There is somewhere, not serious stuff, mainly with the finish or the color of the leather, which is black. I might go back with some leather dye in this areas and just kind of, restore that as much as possible, and of course maybe treat the leather once I'm done, just to make it a little bit more moisturized and protected from further damage. I will show you now the inside of this bag. So the inside is, like in many cases, kind of gone through some spills, and that looks like some type of nail polish, silver nail polish that possibly spilled in there. Other than that, the fabric is just soiled. It's evenly soiled, with dust. You can tell it's kind of in the very threading of the fabric. So here you can see some of that nail polish that got on the label here. Now, what I would like to do as well is, here you can see the leather trim, like in many Gucci bags, and in many bags are like this. One of the things that I would like to do, as I was saying, is to probably replace this lining. Now, as I mentioned before in one of my prior videos, is that if you were going to have this professionally done, you would have to have someone take this whole leather piece apart, undo this seam, so you can really pull out the lining. But there's another method you could do, depending on what this project is for, which is just to replace the lining, leaving a section of this fabric here so that you can have the new lining attached to that. Essentially, that's what we will be doing with this one. I would be redoing the pocket, of course. It's easier than trying to clean this lining. That's going to be, in some cases you can do that, in some cases you cannot. I think it's easier to come up with something, fresh and new and so on. So I might do that, and that is possible. You might have seen another one of my videos where, I just the design itself of the handbag just poses different types of challenges. The bag that I initially did was a backpack, and that could be turned around, let's say inside out rather, and that way you can really work with the lining and you can really sew it. Some bags are sort of a stiff shape in leather that you cannot do that with, so it becomes kind of a different process for replacing the lining in what I'm trying to do. Of course, everything's possible, right? So it depends on what you want to do with it and who's going to do it. So stay tuned. We'll see how we bring this bag back to life. Now, it's not going to be brand new, but just bring it back, make it look good and usable and not in so tired condition as you see it here. So I've turned the bag inside out so you can see the actual lining that will be replaced, and so cutting this lining and taking it apart will allow me to cut a new section of fabric so that it'll be exactly as this. So this will be the template. I wanted to mention that this particular zipper poses a unique problem. As you can see, it's not like the lining is a floating lining that has the pocket kind of freely as part of it. As you can see right here, the top part of the zipper is inside the leather piece, which is going to be a problem. So here's a new lining. I've actually cut it in one single piece. The original lining was cut in two sections with the seam right at the bottom of the handbag. As you can see here, the shape is not at all straight. So as you can see, it's meant to kind of be cut in an angle on the side, and here's a mirror image. So what I've done is the original one, or the section that I actually use as a template, stopped about right here. You might remember also that a little bit more is required to at least reach the section that I left still attached on the handbag, and I've left some allowance. So this will allow me to, I know I'm being redundant here. It's to fold it, and now this will be stitched onto the existing strip of fabric still left in the bag. So this is ready for sewing. I will begin from here to here on both sides, and here what you can see is that the bag has been prepared for dyeing the leather. So this will cover most of the bag. You still should be extra careful not to make sure that you don't have any spills or bleeds onto the fabric, especially where the leather and the fabric meet. I will be using Fleabing's leather dye in black. I am wearing one glove in one hand, not on the other, and I'm using one of those cotton like facial makeup remover pads. I'm going to focus on the areas where you can see some of the wear and the color is fading. I'll start there and then see how I need to adjust. When I soak the dauber in the dye, I usually push against the inside of the bottle just to remove any excess. Make sure you put the cap back on. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. The reason why I'm wearing the glove on my right hand is because that's the hand that I will be using mostly to rub and use the cotton pad. So let's take a look at this area right here. When I do a little bit of it, I want to spread it out and I want to see how it's kind of soaking into the leather. It looks like I could just go over the whole entire thing here. And the pad will allow me to remove any excess, as you can see. I don't want it to get, build too much in different places. I think I'm going to put another glove just to make sure I don't get it on myself. I want to work quickly just so that it doesn't, the dye doesn't accumulate in one area, and be able to remove the excess with the pad. This dye feels very sticky when you first apply it, so I'm not interested in it remaining that way. I want to just remove the excess and be able to see right away if the color is even. I'm going to move this kind of to the opposite side. Making sure I get the edges as well. And remove the excess. I hope you can see the color difference. I think it looks good. I will keep going then. You don't have to use one of these cotton pads. You can use, an old rag. I often cut up like t-shirts that I'm not using, and I use those clean ones, of course. I use them for different projects when cleaning or applying products. You can use them in different ways. I recommend also that you, depending on what brand, what product you're using, that you actually test it and just kind of get a sense of the way the product is behaving. And of course, is it the shade, is it the color that you want? That's important to mention as well. Now, in case I didn't mention it before, I had wiped down the leather with with some cleansing wipes just to get some of the dirt off, just to get, there were some kind of things that look like stains. Now this is kind of like a bunch of little dots. I did try to wipe that down, nothing came off. So my guess is that whatever got on here before actually removed the finish. So essentially I'm putting back the color, or I'm putting the color back in as I am redying this. So as you can see now, those dots are gone. That's a good sign. And so cleaning it beforehand is going to be extremely important, because as you might imagine, anything that is not supposed to be there may just complicate things for you if there are actually, traces of lotion or perhaps, nail polish, those kinds of things. Now here I don't have any tape, so I'm going to be extra careful not to get the dye on the fabric. I'm actually pleased with the way the coverage is working out with this dye. Like I said, I wouldn't leave it like this with the excess product. I would just remove it. I want to make sure that it's all as even as possible and that there is no extra dye being left behind, because that might drip, that might cause other issues. I think it's important to go back right away and wiping it down as you see fit. Okay, so at this stage it's been about 12 hours, and you can see, I hope in this lighting, a little bit of what the leather now looks like, which is more consistent color, more even. I think it looks, a little bit, well, not a little bit, I think it really looks considerably different. It looks good. I think in the next stage, I'm just gonna kind of make sure that everything's covered okay. I will be treating the leather with something that will protect it, and then I'm ready to move on to the lining. So also what I did on the inside, that leather section, it's all been dyed as well. As you can see, here's my section of lining to which the new lining will attach to. Okay, so in this stage, I'm actually doing a fitting of the lining. Just turn the bag inside out, and that's how I would work on sewing the new lining to that leftover piece of the original lining. You might recall we discussed. So this is, as in this fitting, I can tell if it's kind of lying flat nicely. Is it, the sizing, is that correct, and so on. Let me try this again. And it looks fine. So definitely a difference here. This finishing looks very much like the original bag or the original lining look. This is the original zipper, the tag, everything is in its place. So once I know it's kind of working out, then I know it will be the last fitting, and then I will begin the invisible stitching all around the bag. And in some occasions I actually go around twice just to be sure that I reinforce the stitching and it won't be coming undone. Okay, so I've started attaching the lining to the handbag. I kind of started here at that seam, so the new lining seam would match up with the existing seam for the bag. And here it is. So I have stopped to this point where my needle thread is still here. So this is the area that I've gone through already, and I'm going to keep going all around the bag. So at this point I have actually gone around with the stitching right in this area. There you have it. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. At this point, I'm ready to turn the bag inside out now to the right side, and then just clean it up, make sure that everything looks good. Maybe the next stage should be to condition the leather and just clean the hardware and so on. For my conditioning process, I would like to use Kiwi leather lotion. Claims to clean and preserve all shoe types. I kind of tested it. I'm using a piece of like a t-shirt, clean of course, and I've gone over this area right here. So it really goes on like lotion, and then it gets absorbed. It's not very shiny, but I think it just gives the right amount of matte finish. So I'll keep going around the leather, and I will be right back. So let's recap. This is the project that we started out with. This is a vintage Gucci bag that is beginning to look a bit tired. As you can see, there was a lot of loss of color on the leather, especially a lot of wear on the corners and the edges. After dyeing the leather, it looks more evenly in color, it looks a little bit fresher, it looks nicer. So the end result really is a bag that is more usable, it's more presentable, and it just looks clean. Lining was very dirty and was stained with nail polish, so that needed to be replaced. Now you see a clean and crisp lining ready for use. This is the overall look of it. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, that perhaps you will apply some of these methods to your projects. Thank you for watching Paris Craze. See you next time.